have to be very smart about when to make passes because you can put yourself in positions that can actually get you in more trouble.
That's where the big word experience comes in, and how to set up a pass. The pass might have been set up laps before. It might take you many laps to get in position to make that pass at the time that the opportunity arises.
Technically, if you're not inside somebody at all, by the time they start to turn in, it's not a good move. You have to be somewhere alongside them when they start to turn in.
Whoever at the turning point is on the inside or has the lead at the turning point, it's their corner.
So for me, by the turning point, I at least need to be halfway down them, and then you can wrestle in.
You got to make your pass clean and without contact. If he doesn't see you, then it might have just been an amazing pass. He might not have been expecting you.
What avoidable contact really is we look at it from the standpoint of, could this incident have been avoided certainly by one of the drivers, if not by both, if they had taken a different course of actions?
The biggest thing that a driver has taught me is always have a way out. You could always, you're coming up on slower traffic, and if they turn in, what's your way out, to avoid that accident or an incident?
You have to look past the cars that you're coming up on. You have to plan your passing. You have to look where you want to go. For example, if you see a gap that is a bit questionable and you might have to, stick your nose in a little bit late, then you could actually end up either making contact with another car or just getting slowed up enough that your competitors can get a better run out of the corner.
What are the variables here? I can see up in front of me 10 cars. Some of those are not in my class, so they're going to be slower. I need to stay away from them, not get blocked in by them. I need to get in with the cars that are in my class. I need to read which ones are the ones that I'm competing against in front of me and what are the ones behind me as well.
Be mindful of who's behind you, where they are, and pick the best location to get around those cars and use them to your advantage. If you can get by them in the right spot, by being a bit strategic.
You can sometimes use those slower cars as picks. I like to think of them as, if you can just get in front of one or two of them and then pin your closest competitors racing with you behind those guys. Sometimes that can really work out to your advantage if you can keep those slower cars in between you and your competitors for a few turns, and you can really gain a gap. So knowing when to lay back a little bit, knowing when to be aggressive and make that pass on that lap traffic is really, really key to the multi-class racing.
In endurance racing, it's really hard to know who's in the car because there's 3-4 drivers sometimes in the car. Now with a series like Pirelli World Challenge, there's only one guy in the same car every weekend, so you can kind of really start to learn them as a driver, and that also helps with the passing as well.
I can size up a guy pretty quickly. You watch him, you watch what he's doing, you can tell if he sees you or not. You can tell by the way he's positioning his car, what he's up to.
Exactly right. You try to obviously learn who you race with, both within your own class and who's also racing with you out there in the bigger classes, and know who you race.
And what are their tendencies? Who's a guy that's going to, take a high-risk maneuver versus who's a guy who's going to be more respectful? And that really kind of dictates how you drive them.
Even though somebody else could be wrong and get penalized for it, you could still end up in a sand trap or with a wrecked car. So that's where you have to judge, what am I going to do? What am I willing to risk here?
It's not just the move right now, but what are you going to do with this move? What's the next corner going to bring? You've got to think well ahead of just the pass right now and look way down into the future and say, do I really want to do this right now? Or are they going to call me from race control for avoidable contact?
When you race people, you find out if they race hard and clean or hard and dirty. That's it. So what kind of driver are they, right? Everybody's got a little style. You know who the dirty guys are. Those are the guys that'll wreck you.
So many guys that are learning the racecraft on simulators. And anybody that's played Xbox or PlayStation, well, what do? You throw it into the corner and you don't care about anybody else. And you see that in a lot of racing on the racetrack these days.
Because in simulator racing, there are no consequences, right? So in real life, you can't exactly get away with the bumping and hitting people as you can online.
At the end of the day, I like to race guys a certain way, hoping that they race me the same way.